Well, we made it.
After the long journey, yep, we're here.
We did. It was tight in that phone booth, I tell you. Hello, everybody. My name is Amy. Welcome to Ping and Amy's Excellent Adventures in True Crime. So excited to be here. It has been a journey. Kind of through things. This is an idea that Ping and I have discussed for quite some time. We never really did anything serious with it. And then, like, probably in the last, I would say 3 to 4 days, we've been working tirelessly. And he's going to come on in a second and talk, I hope.
Yeah, I'm here. I was just letting you do your thing. But
well, for those of us who don't know us, I live in the United States. He was in Australia. And so we have a small work window where our times mesh together. So it's a little crazy, but we're good friends, and we're and love true crime, and we're just excited to be here. So, Ping, I will stop the stream and let you chat away, my friend.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I think this time around midnight on the East Coast blends really well for us. It's 2:00 here, and we're hoping just to give you guys a place where you can, I don't know, just talk about anything relating true crime or any true crime shows you've watched, anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm echoing. Julian Phillips, am I still echoing?
We have been having some sound issues. I know you can hear me on Ping's phone, or on Ping's, not phone, but on your end. I'm not, that's what they're hearing. They're hearing me echoing.
On this side? Hold on.
And I'm trying to figure out, we may just have to, until we figure it out, like mute each other. You don't have it streaming anywhere else, do you? He left me. It's our first show and he left me. Well, I'm going to say hi to some really cool people that I know and I love. And I see Breaking Crime with Big E, BCBE. I love you. A lot of you guys I know talked to on the phone. Kathy Wright, so good to see you. Julian, Javo, yay. True Crime Unveiled. My girl Jen, I love her channel. She's amazing. If you don't subscribe to Breaking Crime with Big E or True Crime Unveiled, get your patooties over there and do it, because they're the real deal. And no, poor Amy. Jade, I'm fine. He'll come back, and when I stop talking, he can talk. That's how that works. So I'll stop talking.
I'm just hoping it's fixed now.
I think so.
Yeah, it does that sometimes. Okay, Miss Amy, where do you want to start?
Let's start with our 3 questions.
All right. Do you want to go first, or should I?
Sure, I'll go first.
All right.
All right. So my first question to you, Ping. Ping doesn't know what I'm going to ask him. Tell me a movie that's like really popular that you've never seen and you have no plans on ever seeing, and you don't care that everybody else loves that movie.
Probably Gone with the Wind. I've never watched it.
Seriously?
Nah, I've never seen it.
And you're never going to?
Nah, probably not. What for?
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. I love that movie. Okay, your turn.
I would say, have you read a book in the last 6 months other than true crime?
It's a nonfiction book. It wasn't true crime. It was, hold on, because I just recommended it to a friend. I'm not good at like remembering things. So hold on, let me look it up.
All right.
Quick. Hold on, it was to my friend Josie. Okay, there's message right there. Oops, can't see it. I said Another Kind of Madness by Stephen Henshaw. It's about the guy that wrote about his father's mental illness, and it ended up his father had a diagnosis, and the guy became a psychotherapist and ended up re-diagnosing his own father and getting him the help he needed very late in life. Mm-hmm.
So it's a happy book.
Well, it's an interesting book. It's an Amy book. I don't know. All right, so mine are going to stay in the same little thing. Tell me a song that you listen to that you would rather not admit in public. The song you enjoy.
Like one I'd rather not admit I listen to?
Are you thinking?
Yeah, is that what you mean though? One that I'd rather not admit that I listen to?
Yeah, like for instance, I'm a little punk rock girl, and Harry Styles comes on, and I'm like, oh, I really like it. I like Harry Styles.
I'm stuck back in the early 2000s, I guess, because I probably listened to a lot of probably like like 90s pop music. So if Britney Spears comes on, I'm not turning it off, and I like it, but I probably wouldn't tell anyone that.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Which song though? Which Britney song?
Oh, probably Toxic. That's a good one.
That is a good one. That is a good one. All right, your turn. Your turn.
Oh, well, do you have any weird food combinations that you eat that, again, similar to the music, that you think other people would think you were weird for?
Jalapenos and cottage cheese. I eat it for breakfast.
What? For breakfast?
Yes. Yeah.
You can have like spicy jalapeno breath all day.
No, not really. I don't know. It's just like I'm not a. You know this about me. I'm not a. I don't like sweet stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't really like breakfast food, and I'm not gonna. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna make eggs for myself or anything like that. So yeah, jalapenos and cottage cheese is my thing. Sorry, I'm getting my drink ready. I've got like 3 drinks here. I'm ready to go tonight. Oh.
3 drinks. Are they all just like Coke?
No, I have this. Hold on. Let me figure out where my camera is. This bubbly. It's like sparkling water, but it tastes like strawberry, and it tastes like a strawberry soda. And my favorite part is I'll rip this off. See if I can do it. My favorite part is the little tab. Where's the camera? I don't know if anybody can see that. Ooh, it's not going to focus. They have little messages on, like it says hi. That's my favorite part.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's water that tastes like strawberry soda. It's amazing. It makes me super happy. Cottage cheese and jalapenos, Eric. It's delicious. Don't knock it. No. Well, I actually, when I moved in with my, before Chris and I were married, when I moved in with my husband, I'm not sure he was really prepared for weirdness. I had the surface weirdness, but the deep-rooted weirdness that is me, because I will eat, like, people eat cold pizza in the morning. Like, I'll eat cold Chinese food. I'll eat cold anything. In fact, I think food tastes better when it's like colder at room temperature.
Cold Chinese food is pretty good. I've done that.
It is. Yeah. People that say it's gross haven't tried it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, cold noodles, like cold like stir-fried noodle box. That stuff's pretty good too.
Yeah. I agree. All right. So that was yours. Do I have one more? I have one more.
Sure, you can have one more.
Okay, one more. Let's see. I'm thinking really hard. I wrote these down, and then I didn't bring my notepad into my office. I don't have them now. Oh, I know. Favorite swear word.
Oh, I'm Australian, so my favorite swear word is like probably the least popular one in the US. It starts with a C and ends with a T, and I can't say it on here.
No, it's 4 letters.
Yeah, it's 4 letters. Yeah.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 That's like a swear. I mean, that's a swear word, but like you don't say that like when you bang your toe, do you?
Yeah. Like, I mean,
Really? And that's
yeah, I mean, it's commonly used here.
I want to see that in action.
You want to see it. People say it as if it's a term of endearment. Like they see their friend and they're like, "Hello, you C word."
No.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm gonna try that at 4th of July tomorrow.
Just walk up to someone randomly and do it.
I would say, dare me to do it for $5, but actually I'd do it for free. So
You do it for a soda.
I'd do it for free. I think at this point, you know, it's funny. Like, I mean, I'm not preaching to anybody. So this is just for me. As I've gotten older, like I'm just in that I don't give an F phase of my life. You know what I mean? Like I don't care anymore. Like I'm still polite for the most part, you know, but like I was in the car with my stepdaughter today who was 13, and this lady's like in the parking lot driving really slow, and she's like really close to my car, and she's like I can't figure out what she's doing, but like I'm in motion first, she's all up in my business, and I'm like, what is her problem? I'm like, this lady's crazy. It's like a slug on wheels. Nowhere to go. Whatever. And I said, Amy, your window's open. I'm like, I don't care.
It's like when you get caught. Yeah.
No, like I really I don't care. I don't care. All right. Last one. Your turn. And then we're gonna get into some stuff.
All right. So I have to ask you something now?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It could even be one of those like, what's grosser than gross? Do you remember when you were little?
No, I don't think we played that one. But I'm gonna say what's a country in the world you would never travel to, like besides like something obvious like North Korea?
That's a good one. Let me think. Probably like the Sudan.
It's probably a good one too. I don't know if the food would be that great, and they probably don't have a lot of soda.
There's something so wrong about everything you just said there. But I digress. Okay, so Ping and I, just like it says in the bio, you know, we're very different in a lot of ways, but where we intertwine is crime. And anybody that knows me, I get stuck on certain subjects, and I sit there and I just process and I process and I process. And one of the things, so the two things that I want to talk about tonight are the two little topics that I picked for this evening. One is a story about a kid in Texas that admired the Uvalde school shooter, worked at Amazon, and thank God he confessed his plan to shoot up his workplace to a coworker who then reported it to the powers that be so that he could be arrested. He had already purchased a gun. He was obviously mentally unstable. So I wanted to talk, originally I wanted to talk about that, but then because my mind is weird, I started thinking about all the school shootings and what the profile of a school shooter is. So I started, and all these links are in the description. So I started looking, you know, the Secret Service has a report about with the profile of a school shooter. The FBI has one. It's like 52 pages long. there are some independent agencies that have done research on who these people are. They're typically male, and that is pretty much like, other than being underdogs sometimes, where it stops. They're wary of developing a profile because it could cause students to be profiled, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like, if they're saying like, oh, they're usually the kids with the long hair that wear the green pants or whatever, then, every time a long-haired kid goes to school wearing green pants, it's like, oh man, he's a school shooter and we're going to do this. And that's, that, like, that kind of thing. That's not fair. So I'm looking through all this stuff or whatever. And I had this whole plan for what I was going to talk about. And then about 5 hours ago or whatever, I start going down this rabbit hole, and I'm thinking about how we stop these workplace shootings, how we stop these school shootings, and all these preventative measures and everything else. And then people talk about gun control. I personally don't believe that. This is just me, change my mind, but I personally don't believe that restricting guns is going to completely end these things. It may limit it, but to me, it's the same problem with drugs. Like, if you can't get them legally, you'll just get them illegally. So to me, that's not the ultimate solution. So I started to think about professions where they use firearms, like law enforcement officers or the military, along those lines. And they take a psychological test before they can go into, if you want to go into the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, whatever, you have to pass the psychological test. And if you want to be a law enforcement officer, you have to pass a psych exam. And because for multiple reasons, you have to be able to handle those stressful conditions, but also you're not going to give somebody a weapon and train them how to use it if they're absolutely insane, right? So then that leads me down another rabbit hole, and it's this. So I started thinking, okay, well, they need to start giving psych evaluations to people looking at purchasing guns, because I look at this kid at the Amazon store or the Amazon warehouse in Texas who idolized the Uvalde shooter, and I say, okay, they needed to do a background check on him and he passed it. And could they have done a psych eval? Well, the thing about it is, like, he's 19. So anything that happened prior to 18 is sealed and it's not released. So I'm going on and on and on here, I know. But I guess this is what I wanted to talk about with you, because this is what I ultimately came to, was this psychological background. I understand that kids or people have issues before they're 18 years old. I get it. But I'm not convinced that when you turn 18, it's an automatic reset. In the state of Florida where I live, you could be tried as an adult as young as 13. And so I think when we're talking about firearms, we need to be able to look at these people as a whole, because they're not, if you just go up on your 18th birthday and you want to buy a gun, if you can stay good for 3 days, you're golden, right? But you could have had a major psychiatric incident 2 or 3 weeks ago. If somebody doesn't have a conservatorship for you or something like that, then, or you haven't been charged as an adult, because all your juvenile stuff is not counted, then you go buy that weapon. And this is kind of the case with the guy at the Amazon plant in Texas. He had purchased a gun. His family was very, very upset about it. There's another story that I kind of want to lay out for you, like a little bit later. But I want to hear, and I'll mute my microphone because I know we're having some audio trouble. But I really do want to hear what your opinion on this. Is there a way to, what do you think about eliminating the privacy of mental health before the age of 18? I guess is what I'm asking you. In relation to young adults purchasing weapons.
If it was only used for that one specific application, like only for firearm purchases, and it couldn't be accessed in any other way for any other reason, job, whatever, I think that probably wouldn't be such a bad thing, because I think we kind of have to know people's history as a whole to understand how they are sort of mentally, how they develop. It's just like, would you ever be able to get something like that passed through laws in 50 states? Like, that's the hard thing, I think. Well, Amy, I think you're still muted.
No, you just don't hear. I was muted. Thank you for telling me, because I would have just gone on and on. I think maybe then what I'm going to share this story with you. And again, the few people that know me, and I've mentioned this before, I'll never go into more detail, but I do have somebody in my immediate circle that suffers from mental illness, and it's hard, and I'm not at liberty to talk about them. I wish I could, because it's a big part of my life, and I'd like to share it with you, but it would be exploiting them, and it's not my right. It's not my story to tell. So I can't. But when I talk about these things, I want everybody to know that it's very, very close to my heart, because when I hear these stories, it scares me. And this was even before I got into true crime. Sometimes I have moments where I think, oh my God, one day I'm going to be on Dateline because I have a relationship with this person, and we all rally around and try to help this person, but there's things like protecting records before, juvenile records, that you're just letting a person out into the world with a clean slate that doesn't really have a clean slate. And I find it to be, personally find it to be reckless, irresponsible, and endangering other people. So I found this woman on TikTok, of all places, and I have been following her story. She has a son who is 14, and he is in a locked facility, a hospital, because he not only tried to kill his mom, this woman that's on TikTok, but his little sister. And he takes no responsibility for it, no accountability, nothing. And they're trying to get him all the help he needs. But the bottom line is that in 3 years, when he's 18, he will walk out of that hospital. And if he has not done the work, right now he's really not taking it very seriously. So he's not working on his issues. If he does not rectify his issues, if he does not work on his behavior, then he won't have a place to live with his parents. He probably, unless he can hold a job, I mean, I think she said, they would help him out with a place or a roof over his head or whatever, but, he can't come back home. But he's going to be able to go out into the world with this, like, clean slate, and he actually tried to murder his mother and his sister, among a lot of other things. And this isn't an uncommon story. It's just that people don't talk about it. And we don't hear about these things until one of these children gets their hands on a gun and does something crazy. And I don't know what the solution is, but in my mind, I'm starting to think, and I'm all about health privacy. I'm all about HIPAA. I'm all about all of that stuff. But you're talking about somebody that is a danger to themselves and to others, and they don't need to be running around on this earth with a clean slate. Like literally her son in 3 years will get out of this hospital like on a Thursday and have done something really crazy in the hospital on a Tuesday because he's 18. He can't be kept there anymore, without court. And there's ways to keep him in that hospital, but there's court hearings and things like that. And then in between, the bottom line is he's going to be able to walk out. And then, and here's a family trying to prevent that from happening. And there's no support in the world for it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It becomes an issue on the other side of it then when how do you balance these rights and responsibilities with safety? Because, it could work the other way too, where you end up keeping someone prisoner past their 18th birthday when technically they're probably fine. But someone somewhere in the system is trying to keep them imprisoned longer, and that clean slate's no longer there. So I kind of see it. It's scary from both sides. Maybe the answer is tightening of restrictions on a lot of things, but also added funding for things like mental health, um, added funding for schooling, for security and things like that. Maybe looking at different, ways of security for workplaces, and maybe it's like a holistic approach. It's not just one avenue that needs to be looked at. It's a wide swath of things to look at to try and get some help here with these shootings. I don't think there's one thing that's a magic bullet, really, so to speak. It's probably a bad choice of words, but I don't think there is a magic, solution here.
What about this? So the military makes you take a psychological exam. You have to pass it in order to join. I mean, do you think it would be a violation of someone's rights to say you have to sit down with a mental health professional during the 72-hour waiting period? You need to sit down with a mental health professional and have this, and the cost is on you. If you want this weapon, that cost is on you. You need to pay for the testing and you go to pass the testing.
Do we know how many people actually that have committed school shootings actually cross over into that? Like they bought their own guns and then did it, or were a lot of them they were stolen from other people or parents and things like, or households, or were like the majority of them actually bought for 18th birthday?
They were purchased either one. This is the trend that I found. They are either purchased by the parents for the child, which you're not supposed to do, before they're 18, or they tend to be purchased by the individual. So, for the most part, they are not acquired illegally. There are cases where they are, and there are cases where they steal them from their parents and at home. But really, when the truth comes out, it's like, oh, well, the parent bought the gun for the kid, and they take them to the gun range, and that's the gun that they're going to use, but it's not really their gun, but it was purchased for them. That kind of situation.
So, like under the guise of like a sports shooting type thing, like they've been doing like target practice, like in their younger years, that type of thing.
Right, or a parent, and I'm not judging. There are like shooting ranges where you can go and they have like cases and they have like semi-automatic weapons and Israeli assault rifles and all this stuff, and you're like, oh, I want to try that today, and they get it out and they take you out and they show you how to shoot it. There are parents that just like to shoot guns, and they buy a lot of them just because they enjoy it and they think it's, uh, you know, it's a hobby, I guess. What did Kathy Wright say? She said, I shared with you in the recent past 2 instances of adults committing violent murders whose violent juvenile crimes were expunged. I believe in HIPAA and confidentiality, but yeah, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you, Kathy.
I think we've got to use the information we have historically to help us predict the future in some ways.
Yeah, yeah, and realizing too that a lot of these so children can have behaviors that aren't socially acceptable, right? From, you know, I mean, we've seen it from like what, age 3, like 5, 7, 9, or whatever. The problem is that because of ages and windows and development, the DSM does not diagnose children with the big things until to a certain age level. And sometimes when you're talking about 18 in the United States being recognized as an adult, there are things like schizophrenia. Like schizophrenia could be anywhere between, I mean, it could be younger, but typically it's like 18 to like, I think it's 23 or 26. You're talking about people that are diagnosed with sociopathy or psychopathy. That is not going to happen at 10 years old. That is going to happen much later on in life. Earlier, it's called something different. It could be called conduct disorder. It could be called all kinds of other things. But they if it's not treated properly, this is one of the avenues it goes to. So I guess that's my problem. It's like somebody could be doing these horrific things their entire life up to 18 and in and out of facilities and everything else, and not have a diagnosis that would prevent them from certain things or restrict them for certain things because it hasn't had the opportunity to be diagnosed yet. Am I making sense? I know, like I said, I'm choking. I know I said I really did ADD brain today. I went down a rabbit hole. I was like, I want to talk about this, and then it ended up being this. But there's got to be something to do. And I want to see real quick what True Crime Unveiled said. She said, poor analogy, but when you apply for health or life insurance, you have to provide your health information. I don't think it's out of line to ask people who buy a deadly weapon to provide that info. That's where I am too. And I agree with Kathy again when she says somehow violent juvenile crimes need to be red flagged on background checks. I agree. Because I'm so sick of reading stories where people are like, oh, he was, this kid was always doing this and doing that or doing the other thing, some violent thing, but it never got documented anywhere. Nobody got warned about it. I mean, I don't want these kids to go through life like, everybody having a predisposed opinion of them. But on the other hand, if you're trying to kill your mom and your sister, you probably need a warning label. And I'm sorry I'm sorry about that because it's terrible and it's sad. But and I'm not talking about basic behavioral things. I'm not talking about like, being a mouthy teenager or just the hormone temper tantrums or adjustment problems. I'm talking about violence. And now I'll shut up because I'm not giving you any time and I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I mean, I'm just listening because for people who don't know, I live in a country who up until 2 years ago had the strictest gun laws in the world. After a massacre in Tasmania in the 90s, they enacted basically almost a full ban on automatic, semi-automatic, and a bunch of other stuff down here. And they committed like millions of dollars to a buyback scheme. A lot of people say, wow, the USA should do that. No, it won't work, because back then, even in Australia, our prime minister was threatened every day just for buying back those, like, I think it was only like 200,000 guns or something like that. If you do that in America, they were saying there was like more guns than people in America. It's almost like an impossible task. So we've got to look at other avenues, and maybe these psychological profiles, when you apply for a gun, is a good way to start the process. But I do believe in the holistic approach. It's got to be a bunch of other stuff too, not just like one thing. Oops, you're muted again.
Thank you. Something has to, I mean, for the whole thing, something has to be done, but something has to be done with these people, like I said, that had a terribly troubled childhood and go out at 18 or 19 and buy a gun, and then, tell their Amazon warehouse coworker about how they're going to pull the fire alarm and shoot everybody as they're rushing out of the building. Or, the kid in Uvalde who shot his grandmother and then went down to the school and started shooting up like, we're done.
They could have been known before it happened, I think is what you're trying to say. If we used some sort of approach of tracking these mental health issues, it's possible they may never have got their hands on the guns in the end.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's keep. So this mother that I follow on TikTok, one of the things I heard her say the other day, she said, if I can't get my child to take his therapy and his behavior plan seriously, and I've tried to teach him empathy, and I can't, and he's not accepting accountability for anything he does. She's talking about all these things, right? She said then, and she loves her son. She does. It's her baby, But she's like, then the other part of my job is to make sure that when he's 18, that he will never join the military, he will never be a police officer, and he will never have access to a firearm legally. And I'm all for that.
It must be a lot of burden on that woman, because it's almost like she has to protect her own family, her son, and the general public as well.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's that must be I was thinking about that before. That must be such a hard feeling to have if you live in America, when you send your kids to school and not know if they're going to be safe that day. In Australia, we don't really have that feeling at all. That's why I find it hard sometimes to relate to these issues. Not that I don't understand how bad they are, because I don't live with that fear. I don't live with that fear if I go to the shopping center down the road that I'm going to get shot by some guy. Public shootings are extremely rare here. And I can't imagine what that's like for a parent to have to send their children to school or out on their own anywhere where there's a large group of people and not know if they're going to come back all right. Like, that's, don't those parents want different? Like, that's what I always think. Those people can probably band together and make change, I reckon.
It's pretty horrible, to be honest. I mean, when you're in some of those big box stores and you hear like a loud like bang, like maybe they moved a pallet or something felt like I personally don't like going in those places anymore. We've talked about this between the two of us and in other places ad nauseum, but I don't go anywhere where I don't have or I haven't thought about like an escape route. Do you know what I mean? Like, if something happens, how am I going to get out of here? How am I going to, like, what am I going to do? And it is horrible when you drop your kids off at school and you don't, you're just, it doesn't matter what kind of school they're in. You never feel safe anymore. they have gates around them. They have all this stuff, but like people leave gates open and people get to know a parent and they're like, oh, hey, no, just come on in. It's okay. Like that kind of stuff.
Safety ends up slipping. Yeah.
Yeah, and it can't. And then you have kids and you're taking them to stores and you're like, gosh, now not only do I have to get out of here alive, but my kid has to get out of here. It's insane. It's insane. And the only I've thought about, like outlawing the guns or whatever, completely or whatever, but I'm a firm believer in the Constitution and we have a right to own guns. It's very specifically written for it was written. Our right to bear arms was to protect us, and it's part of what this country was established on, and it just and I still believe that we need that protection as citizens, and we need to be afforded that right.
Oh yeah, even as an Australian, I think I think I should be allowed to own a handgun. Like I don't disagree with that. Even myself, and I live here in Australia. Maybe it's just some of the more powerful ones and things like that people don't. Maybe there could be an age limit on it, like because by maybe a certain age they would find out any pre-existing mental issues that would have already become exacerbated by a certain point or something. I don't know. It's a complex issue.
It is, and the thing is, though, like people can buy guns and modify them to do what they want too. I mean that.
Yeah, wasn't there a shooter just last weekend that modified the maybe that was in Australia. They modified the pistol. They gave it some sort of different trigger, so the trigger became an automatic instead of just a normal handgun. Oh, it was used in a gangland assassination in Australia the other week. They actually modified the gun with I'm not sure, a mill or something, and milled it down and made a new little part for it, and then it turned into an automatic.
Yeah, and they do that where they they take the magazines and they like tape them together, so then they have more firepower before they have to like reload, type of thing. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen a few of them.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they're called because I'm not into guns as such, but I have seen some of the documentation on it. And even this weekend is the 4th of July. Tomorrow night is the 4th of July. We're going to have a lot of fireworks going off. But one of the things that happens every year in the 4th of July is people fire off guns. And I can't remember how many people it is, but there's a bunch of people that are killed from falling bullets every year on the 4th of July.
Yes, because these dummies think that they just you shoot up into the air and they never heard what goes up must come down, or what did they think it comes down on a little parachute like the Hunger Games? I don't.
Yeah, just be careful out there because I can't remember if it was 5 or 20 or something, but there was an amount of people that actually die in their homes from bullets coming out, falling in the sky.
Did you read True Crime Unveiled's comment? Because it's actually it's funny, but it's good. She says it requires a multi-pronged policy solution with concessions on all sides, which is about as possible to achieve in this country as it is to find a unicorn doing the backstroke.
I know. It's as one of my favorite comedians of all time, Chris Rock, says, there's some things I'm liberal about and there's some things I'm Republican about. It's just a little bit of everything, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like that too. My husband teases me because I kind of bounce around and I pick and choose, but I don't think there's anything wrong with picking and choosing what I believe in, to be honest. So I'm good with what I'm doing. So that was my my major what do you think about this? Because I know it took a lot to get to my point, and I know it was kind of
hopefully people still love us after this.
Yeah. yeah, I mean, it was kind of a pancake tour getting to where we needed to go because it's just how I roll. But, when I'm reading these stories, I feel like I know people. I know people talk about this as an issue, but I think what bothers me is that there are probably a lot of people like this woman that I saw on TikTok that is brave enough to tell her story. And when people say, "Well, what about your son? Like, aren't you violating his rights?" And she's like, "He violated mine when he tried to kill me and my daughter." You know, she's like, "So now all I can do is, create awareness and tell other people." I'm sorry, my hair is like tickling me or something in my face. Um, she's like, now all I can do is try to create awareness, try to tell other people like that, you know, are maybe living with similar issues and think they're alone. She's like, I'm just telling you, like, here I am over here. You're not alone. That kind of thing. So I think that's something that, again, with mental health, we need to start. We need to. We need to fix the mental health system.
Just need to get working on it instead of waiting for the next school shooting to happen, like, next week. And then you go, we'll do something before the next one. Let's just start doing something before anything else happens. Like,
and
just
what,
get working on it.
yeah, and what are we doing to our children? Our children are just like, oh yeah, today's the gun drill day. Today's this, or oh, it was scary because my teacher forgot that it was a drill and the thing went off and she was crying. I mean, like I heard these things from my stepchildren when they were like in first and third grade. One of Isabella's teachers had forgotten. And so when it or didn't get the email, like literally did not get the email. And so when that thing went off, the alarm went off, and the door started automatically locking, and it said, like get into like all the procedural things. The teacher was like in hysterics. She thought it was real. This is what you're sending your kids off to school for this. So there's multiple places to stop this, but I think one of them is like requiring people, especially the young ones that go and they pass the criminal background check. Well, of course they did. They've only been an adult for 3 days. That doesn't make any sense to me. Of course you're going to pass. It's like checking a 2-day-old driving record. Oh, it's all clean and clear. Well, yeah, I mean, he's still peeling placenta off of himself. He hasn't driven anywhere. He hasn't had an accident. He's like, of course he's clean. Like, it's stupid. It makes me, it really irritates me. Because these, and you know what? It's not, I'll tell you this too. It's not just with guns either. You can talk about this with like child predators, sexual assault, things like that, because those things are swept under the rug before they're 18 too.
Well, you had the Sheriff Grady come out just a week ago and explain how there's a new generation of child predators that are clean skin. They've never been done with sexual assault or the typical things you would expect. And that their counties just keeps rounding them up. They keep doing these sting operations and they're rounding all these people up who are going to meet fictitious like little children, and they're out there and there's more than we think there is.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I just had this conversation with Chris the other night, and we were talking about something that's like really big to us is like the kids both go to day camp. So I always it's not really my choice, but I'm his wife, and so like all the parents have to agree or whatever. But anyway, I always want to know, like I love Isabella's summer camp because they background check all the people, and then they put up their background reports on the website with their pictures and stuff, so that you know that the people working with your children are good and clean people, right?
Right. But then you guys have a national, like in Australia, we have what we call a working with children's check. And if you work anywhere near children, you must have one of these cards that are up to date. You don't have something like that? It has to be done individually each time? Or
I think it's based on who your employer is. So, like, if you work for the school district, like your school district's going to do that, like through the FBI background check, they'll do that, or what have you. But it's as far as I know, that it's not totally across the board, unless you were talking about like maybe working like in a group home or something like that. I don't think like for summer camp, like they have to do it, because I haven't seen it everywhere. But one of the things like that concerns me is that now there's these junior counselors, and they're like, 15 to 17 or whatever, and they are supervising like 12 and 13-year-old girls. And then there's
it is a lot to worry about there.
Yeah, and then there's 20-year-olds, that are home from college, and they're supervising these little girls. And of course, these little girls have crushes, and some of these little girls don't look 12 or 13, and they're in the pool, and they're doing this, and the kids are changing clothes. And I told Chris, I'm like, I never thought of myself as being as conservative as I sounded the other night. Like, I wasn't trying to give her like an FLDS, hair bump or anything. I wasn't sewing a prairie dress, but I just kind of told Chris, I'm like, I'm not comfortable with all of that. I'm not comfortable with the 4-hour rides on the bus where like there's only, they're like, oh, well, there's 30 campers, that we have, 9 counselors. Well, 2 of those counselors are adults, and the other 7 are like 17 to 20. And most of them are guys. Don't like it.
This is like like a co-ed environment, like there's boys and girls, or it's just girls and there's boy counselors?
There's boys and girls.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. There are.
I mean, maybe they should be limiting it to people who are, then you say, well, where's the progression and the help? Because like you see it, like they're like, oh, let the 15-year-olds come back in case they want to work here when they're older. But I kind of see it that maybe they should leave it till they're 18 and responsible for their own kind of, life, if you know what I mean. That way, they're accountable.
Right. But again, because I kind of framed it up like this, you're talking about saying, okay, well, you're 18, so then you turn 18 in May, and then you want to work at the summer camp in June. Wow, you've been a good little adult for 30 days, but we don't know about anything else you did before you were 18, and we're going to let you work with kids.
That's true. But you think that most of these people that do the camps are probably previous people that have like kind of worked their way up the ladder, like in the junior kind of way, or they just come from anywhere. They're just like, hey, we need some people.
Oh no, I think they probably work their way up in camp. And I'm not trying to be cynical about who people are, but there's who you are at camp, and it's who you are drunk at a high school party or drunk at a college party. There's who you are hazing, somebody in your fraternity or sorority. It's who you are when you choose to get behind the wheel of a car after drinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all things that you are kind of protected from before you're 18. I'll tell you, we had a family friend, like not a real close friend, but somebody that was a friend of the family when my sister and I were growing up. And when he was 17, he got into a car accident, and he was driving, and him and his friend were drunk, and he killed his friend. And because they had resources, it was all covered up. So like, there was a lot that went on before that. I mean, obviously the kid was like, going to parties and getting drunk and driving around and doing drugs and everything else. But then when he actually had an accident, he was like all protected from it, which means that like he's gone on like in 2 years he went off and like did his little thing like with a clean slate. And I'm not saying punish people forever, but like, come on, somebody needs to be aware that at some point you weren't making good decisions. You had some really bad behavior that resulted in someone's death.
Yeah, I think like has been suggested some sort of red flag system, which it doesn't permanently like disqualify you from the world, but it alerts people to something's going on here and maybe needs some more thorough checking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you just get a no entry sign. It's just more like there needs some more background here.
Definitely, because you just maybe the car accident wasn't the best example, but a lot of times in friend groups and in families or something, I don't want to. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I was going to say like an adult is inappropriate with a child, but your child comes and says like, oh, like Uncle Matt, who's not really an uncle, and even if Uncle Matt was really an uncle, you shouldn't be doing it. Touch me, wear my bathing suit covers, because that's like what you kind of tell your kids, like nobody touches you, like wear your bathing suit covers you.
I've not heard that one, but we just say your body is your own, and only you have the right to touch you, no one else, that type of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So it's the same thing, but that's something like you can like tell. Some people tell children like, hey, when you wear your bathing suit covers, hey, Crusher, it's so good to see you. Difficult reason.
Yeah, I just saw. Hey, Crusher.
Thank you. Yeah, and you wear your bathing suit covers. Like, people shouldn't be touching you there. Like, like that's your. I kind of don't like when people call it their no zone, but whatever you have to call it to get the message across. But there are situations that still happen now where like an adult is inappropriate with a child. He has crossed that line, has touched that child, has been suggestive with a child or whatever, and those parents don't socialize anymore, but they find it socially awkward, so they don't do anything about it. So there's still.
Sorry, I was going to say, well, going back to the guns that we're talking about before with the psychological testing, maybe there can be some sort of check for both those things in the first, I don't know, 10 years past 18 that you would have to do for certain activities, jobs, or possession of firearms, I guess. And like at least it would cover those bases for, those things.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Something along those lines, because I mean, I've said it like 50 million times now. It's getting boring and old, but you can't background check an 18-year-old.
No, but we can, yeah. If we kind of like keep those red flags from when they were a bit younger, and then if they do have those red flags, they're forced to undergo some of these checks for the first 10 years of maybe adulthood. Maybe that would be a good solution.
And see, I like this. Further screening for those who meet the red flag criteria still protects rights while also providing a safeguard. Thank you for.
Yeah, that's what we just would. Yeah, very similar. Just worded it way better.
Yeah.
Why aren't you on here? You come on here. You be me. You be King, and then I'll be you. All right.
Well, that's right. Oh, I get to go to Australia. So what do you got? What do you have for tonight? Tell me.
So I was going to wake up today and I was going to find a really interesting topic. And then I woke up and all over the television was Copenhagen. So that doesn't really help us right now. But I will say, just before I was talking to someone about a true crime show. They were talking about Cold Justice is coming back in a few weeks,
Oh yeah.
and it's a show I'd like to cover on our show here because it's maybe one of the greatest true crime shows that have been developed recently.
Mm-hmm. And where is it going? Is it on like network cable or is it on a streaming service?
So originally it was on TNT, but now it's on Oxygen Channel. It's in its 7th season, and basically they travel the country looking for circumstantial cases that have gone cold, and they go there and try to fill in the pieces and get a conviction.
So okay, so I have to figure out a way to get Oxygen because we don't have that. But I can do that.
I think it's on Hulu as well.
Oh, is it? Okay, then I'm good. I'm good. I need to get Hulu anyway because I wonder if anybody's seen Teal Swan. I haven't seen it. I really want to see that.
No, I haven't seen that one.
I'll totally watch it. Well, I told you well, I don't care, and I know some people in the chat will be able to relate to this. I have a little obsession with cults, and remember I was telling you about Jared Leto, my soul cold life guy, Jordan.
Oh yeah,
I'm so
Croatian cult of wellness or something.
yes. Now he's got this crazy cult going. So yeah. So I want to. Oh, Krisha said she studied Teal Swan a long time ago. Huh. I want to talk to you about that. Yeah. Oh, I'll say it. I know who it is. It would be Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, and I'm sorry, the LDS Church. I'll just say it. Cult. Meet all the criteria. Cult. That's my opinion. That's not necessarily Pink's opinion. It's mine. So when you come, make sure it's my name's Amy. It's AIMEE, and I said that. So. But yeah, I want to see that. So I'd be willing to watch the Cold Justice show. I think I told you, I started watching a series on Netflix. And I'm gonna have to pull up what it is. I'm so bad at remembering names of stuff. And if you guys see my fingers disappearing, apparently I've got some blur thing going on, and so it's making me look like in the middle of an acid trip.
Amy, you remember CrimeCon about 2 months ago?
What's that?
You remember CrimeCon when 2 months ago when CrimeCon was on?
Yes, I do.
They had their first annual awards show for documentaries, podcasts, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cold Justice won their best factual reality program or something award.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that. It was funny because I read what did I read today? It was a list of the I forgot what the podcast awards are called, but the 27 best podcasts. And I had heard 20 of them, but I was mad that there were 7 of them that I'd never heard of. But there was the one with Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos was on there. Couple, actually, I don't want to go into that because there were some that I didn't agree with, and I don't want to be about it in public, and I kind of just did it, so I need to.
Amy, Pressure just said she's going to be in Orlando next year.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm going to be in Orlando too. This is where I live. No, seriously, I any of you all that are going to CrimeCon next year, I live in Orlando. I'm going to go, and if you need a place to stay or ride from the airport or something like that, let me know. Because I would love to have. Okay, so there's this. Oh my God, I just got on it. Do you care if I roll with my random thought real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So there is okay, how do I explain this? Okay, so I got super obsessed with this case with Andrew. His name is Christian Andriacchio. Okay, and so anything I could get my hands on, listening to interviews, reading police reports, following the case, all the good stuff that we do, right? And just as I'm totally getting into this, they start they start a podcast about it. I think it was Wondery. I'm hoping I'm giving them the right the person, the production company, the right thing. But I think it was
That sounds about right.
podcast. Yeah. So so I start listening to this podcast, and the podcast takes a real life kind of turn. Like this private investigator who is also a college professor gets interested in the case and starts working with the family. And anyway, her name is Sheila Wysocki. And Sheila Wysocki does these really cool things where she knows a lot of people. She knows ex-FBI people. She knows other private investigators. She knows all kinds of people. So she starts reaching out to her friends like, hey, I'm looking at this case. It doesn't make sense. Like, do you want a piece of it? You want to help me? And they're like, sure. So they travel from all over the country to her house and they film this. They like sit around a conference table, like, eating like Chinese food in their pajamas, and they drink wine at night. They all get up in the morning and get their coffee. It's like a true crime sleepover, and it's like the best thing ever. And so, like, literally, my husband is like, we're going to have to sedate you during Crime Con because my goal is to have a true crime slumber party. I want to pretend to be Sheila Wysocki for the day and host people.
Well, I think next year, with the amount of people we know who are going, I think you'd be able to have not just a sleepover, you might be able to have like your own hotel.
Yeah, but I want like pajamas, and I want like snacks and documents. Does that make me weird?
No, it sounds like probably what they would do at the hotel at CrimeCon anyway.
Yeah, but I want all the things.
I think you got Kresha. Kresha's already in.
Yay!
Mom, she's probably in.
Oh, she said I already flew this decade. Well, I know how much you like to road trip with your daughter. Maybe she can drive you here. You'll have to leave now. Apparently, I talked to True Crime Unveiled while she was, I think her daughter was coming home from college and driving like 10 miles under the speed limit. And yeah.
Are you going to set up like photocopiers in your lounge room so you can like photocopy documents and hand them out?
Well, I hadn't thought about it, but now I have.
Someone contact Xerox.
No, I'm going to have, what am I going to do? I'm going to have one of those lightware projectors so that not only I can have a true crime documentary slumber party, like a movie thing, but I can also project things onto walls of other buildings, like the bat signal or something. I don't know why I'd do that, but I'm going to. Like,
did you know there's a phone that can do that now? That you can buy an attachment for it, and it can turn into a projector?
I've seen it, but I just didn't know what the quality on it was. Have you actually like seen it in action?
I've seen a demo of one. They're pretty good.
Really? Gosh,
Yeah, I don't think they're that expensive either. I think they're like $200 for the attachment.
That's crazy. Yes, your daughter with the sweaty fingernails. Weirdo. Yeah. I have seen. I think I saw that in like in Flight magazine. Like, what is that called? Sky Mall or something like that. I actually saw one in there. I just didn't know like what the quality was. When I was still working, like I remember the first projector I got, the one that you sat your laptop on top so you could share your screen or whatever. But yeah, I just want to, I don't know, like let's say crash for difficult research is at one hotel and I'm at another hotel and Jen's at a third hotel and we could all like, you know, they're all near each other because it's kind of how Orlando is. And then I get a great idea in the middle of the night, but I don't have my phone and they don't answer their phones. And then I can take my projector and flash like a universal symbol to, we must congregate at the gathering area.
The Amy symbol, the sushi symbol in the sky.
Right? Something like that.
Or you could just do the tin and string technique and just have it between the hotels. And then you could just like speak to each other through the tin cans.
That's true too. You could get old school. We could do a little Morse code stuff and people would be like, you talking behind my back? And I would be like, yes, I am ... dashing about you.
So have you watched anything in true crime recently that's worth speaking about or telling anyone about?
Oh, yeah. So that's the show. Okay, so this is on Netflix. It's still on Netflix right now. It's called, hold on. Hold on. That is not it. It's called Web of Make Believe.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this the other day.
Yeah. And so I think there's like 5 episodes or maybe 6, like little, you know, hour long episodes or an hour and 20 minute. And the first one I watched is about swatting, which is like, you know, when people try to send the SWAT team to your house because they're angry at you. And we've seen a lot of anybody that pays attention to true crime or is in the true crime community or follows true crime, you know that there's a lot of unstable people that do this, and there's a lot of competition and just it's like Texas cheerleader mom style. I don't know, like literally taking out your competition. It's horrible. But anyway, the first episode that I watched was really, really good. I highly recommend it, especially if you know some of the stories that have happened within this genre of YouTube. And you know, like there's, like we all know Mommy Ramblings, who has a channel. She was a victim of swatting. She's so lucky that
Amy, there was a guy, I watched a documentary actually last week on swatting. He had been swatted so many times, the police department had a key to his house in the end.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was a online gamer like on Twitch, and he'd been swatted something like 50 times.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, the gaming community is hardcore about it. We don't see it so much. We don't see it as much in true crime, but gaming is crazy. But anyway, highly recommend that series. And then as far as like podcasts go, I actually started listening to I don't have the name of it. I will get it. I'm sorry. I've put a lot of links into the description of this video, but I will add this podcast to it. So I started listening to a podcast about why the LDS Church is so fond of MLMs or direct sales, right? And then that led me to a LuLaRoe podcast that led me to the number of people with white collar crime in pyramid schemes, basically, and how bear with me now, and how people are developing apps that are like pyramid schemes. So apparently there's these like online auctions now that people do, but it's kind of like It's kind of like an influencer pyramid thing. And they try to make it like, oh, you have your own auction house, but you really don't. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. So, yeah, I've been like, I don't like to drive that much, but I do drive a lot. And like, I've been kind of excited because that's the only place I will listen to podcasts. I don't allow myself to listen to them in the house. It's like the treat in the car to listen to them. So, yeah, I'm like, oh, does anybody need anything? So, what about you? You tell me.
The only other show I've been watching is one called Text Me When You Get Home.
Ooh, where's that?
And it's I don't know what channel it's on, but it's basically all the people, you know, it's like it sounds, people who stopped texting in the middle of the night when they were supposed to, you know, text someone when they got home.
Ooh.
And it's got a lot of quite of the famous cases that have been around. One of them is Sarah Everard from the UK and a few others in Texas. But it's a good show. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch.
I'm going to look for it. Hold on. I got to make it. Look. My Senior Sleuth detective book. And a Sharpie, which is a hot commodity in this house. Tell you, if you get a Sharpie, you got the whole world in your hands. All right. What is it called?
It's called Text Me When You Get Home.
Oh my God, my pen doesn't work.
I just looked it up. It's actually a Lifetime show.
All right, I am going to look at that as soon as we're done.
Do you get the Lifetime channel on your cable?
Yes.
Well, you should be able to get it then on the catch up.
No, I'll look for it. I'll look for it on the, like, before I lived with Chris, like I was one of those cord cutters. Like I didn't have cable. I didn't have cable for years. I just watched like my Roku TV or, you know, whatever. But he's hardcore, so he's still got the DVR. My opinion on things is, if you missed it, you missed it. That's how I grew up. I mean, you know, if you fell asleep before Miami Vice came on, too bad, so sad. Your friends told you about it.
So you're in the era of appointment TV.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I didn't have, I will say this, like we had VCRs and stuff like that, you know, to record things. But my parents didn't indulge that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like they weren't going to tape everything in the world and set timers and stuff. Like it was like, oh, well, you missed it. So, yep. That's, Kersha says same thing. Yep. So, yeah, it's just the way it was brought up. So it's never really like affected me that much just because of that. It's all I've ever, it's just a mentality. It's funny because like our kids will sit there and go through the TV menu and like record all sorts of stuff and like get super upset. Like if they can't find like one movie on a streaming service, like it's just such a, everything for them is like instant gratification. It's just so much different than the way I grew up.
I still remember waiting like 2 years for a movie to come out on VHS. So.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But I can tell you, I used to dream of a day where I could stream things on the television, and that day's here now. So I do really like it.
Yep. I do. Well, I do too. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, they moan and groan like, what the hell? Go outside. That's how I feel sometimes too. In fact, their dad just canceled. What did he cancel? The Disney Channel. And
Oh, but don't you guys have Disney Plus?
yeah, we had. Yeah, that's what it was. Disney Plus. Sorry.
Oh, you guys got rid of it.
We got rid of it. Yeah. And
Oh,
my God, they're like losing their minds. Like it's like they're going to die because there's no more Disney Plus. And I think when we went on vacation, like we went on vacation and then they were on vacation with their mom, and then we had company for like a week or whatever. So we canceled Netflix and Hulu that month and some other stuff. And like literally they were home like 4 days. And they were like, oh, what are we gonna do? Like, I was like, oh God, you'll be okay. I promise you.
they add up too. It's like $11 for Netflix, and then it's like $8 for Disney, and then it's like $32 for Hulu. It adds up really quickly to like $100, which you were paying for freaking cable anyway.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing too. Like Chris is not going to get rid of the cable. He's just not. Like he has FOMO, and like something's going to happen and he's not going to be able to find it. I have showed him like there's a channel that I still watch sometimes. I mean, I don't really watch much TV, but I still watch it sometimes. And on the Roku, and it's called Pluto. And like it looks like a cable guide. There's like 550 channels. Roku has a thing like that too, where it's like all the MTV shows and then all the reality shows, and then they have featured movies and they have on-demand movies. It's all free, but Chris is older. He's an old. I love him.
Does he like his sports though? Is that a thing?
Nope. That was one of my deal breakers. I was not going to be listening to Harris Tiger on the night pool. Like I wasn't going to live through that, and I wasn't going to live with people like yelling at the TV like about football. Like he will watch hockey, but he was a skateboarder, so he watches skateboarding. And most of
don't call me in September then, because I'll be like yelling at the TV and swearing at stuff. And
yeah, we don't even watch the Super Bowl in this house.
Oh, that's blasphemy! Blasphemy.
We're really un-American, I think. But we'll be celebrating tomorrow, so we make up for it on 4th of July. Yeah, I'm with Jen. Ew, sports. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we don't watch. We watch skateboarding, and now it's an Olympic sport. So
you gonna go see the fireworks tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna go over towards the coast to go see them, and it was actually funny because we're going somewhere where we were told that everybody, like, they're providing like all this food and stuff. They just asked you to bring your drinks and like something to grill. Okay, so we were like asking the kids like what should we grill, and they decided they wanted like kind of like bratwurst or like sausage.
What? Who are these kids?
I know. No, but wait, because I went to the grocery store today and I came home and like really loud while Chris was helping carry in stuff. She's unpacking groceries and she's like, "Oh, you got me some big fat juicy wieners. I can't wait to get my lips around those."
Oh no. Oh my God.
Let's go in the other room. And Chris was like, "Stop it. Stop it. Stop it." And I was like, "I'm not mature enough. I have to go." Like, I literally had to run into our bedroom and put a pillow over my head. And she's like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, Nothing. I was like,
You're like, why didn't I record that?
I know. It was horrible. So, yeah. So some people are saying they're not going to have fireworks because there's been a drought. Yeah. We've kind of had the same thing, which is why we're going over like towards the beach. So,
Amy, if you go over to the Orlando coastline, shouldn't you be able to see like the fireworks up and down the coast?
oh, you mean if you went and sat on the beach?
Right. Like, shouldn't you be able to see like everything, or
Well, only as far as you can see.
how far is that? No.
I don't know what is it? Is it like, well, it depends. It's like, what is it? Visibility and then terrain, right?
Right. It's visibility. You could have cloud cover or some sort of fog or something, and it limits your distance, or it could just be hazy because of the heat.
Right. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You'll see, like, but where we're going, it's like on a river. It's like the intercoastal, basically.
Oh, okay. So lots of gators.
Yes, but there's also, well, I will say this: I haven't seen gators. There's dolphins and manatees, though. So in this area, you can actually see the other side. So you'll be able to see fireworks coming from like all directions over the river. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think I told you when I went to Orlando, when I went to Cape Canaveral, um, in the waterways around Cape Canaveral, all the manatees live in there. And there's like hundreds of them, and they're fat and cute.
Oh my
And
god,
the two of us almost tipped over because everyone was like, "Look at the cute things," and it almost literally fell over.
I love manatees. You know how you're not supposed to touch them. I I've never touched one, but I've never touched one. One time I just happened to be lying face down on a dock with some lettuce, and I was eating the lettuce, and a little baby manatee literally about this big, with its mom, came and grabbed the lettuce out of my hand.
Oh my God, you would have died from adorable.
I wanted to put clothes on it and carry it around in a purse. It was
They're
so
pretty
cute.
cute,
They're super cute, especially the babies, because they're like all just like
little fat things. Yeah,
just
I
little.
tou- I touched a penguin once, and it
Nuh-uh.
turned around and chirped at me, and I was like, "All right, buddy," but he was like really angry about it. He's like, "Hey, you're not my trainer."
You got back talked by a penguin.
I did, yeah.
Oh my gosh. What else was I going to tell you about? Oh, did I ever tell you about this? So Chris and I we need to do it more. We get so caught up in the kids, but we make these little like dates for each other, and we pick like just random places to go, like day trips. Like no, like we're not flying off to like Bermuda. You know what I mean? So like they have a museum of like a bone museum in Orlando, and it's actually halfway decent. And so he had asked me one day, he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I want to go to the bone museum. So he's like, okay. So we go out there, and they have all the typical things that bone museums have. But here's the thing. Um, they had a manatee skeleton, and I forgot, what do you call the person like in charge of the museum again? Like,
Sir?
sir? Yeah, okay, so sir. The sir came by. I was looking at the manatee skeleton, and the sir came by, and I was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, what are we oh my goshing about? Introduced himself or whatever. I'm like, oh, cool, whatever. I'm a total geek. And I said, I didn't realize. So in their flippers, they have hands. Like they have, like inside their flippers, it's not, it literally looks like a hand. And
Yeah, I've seen a skeleton before. It's a bit freaky because it really does look like a extra long hand.
it does. And I said, I didn't know that. And I'm like, that's so interesting. I'm like, you know, um, and the closest relative to a manatee is an elephant. Okay. So he was telling me that for people that believe in evolution, okay, that they believe that the manatees walked out of the water lived on land, but then decided, or not decided, but environmentally, they were meant to be in the water, and they walked back in. And it's one of the only animals that they've seen where they truly believe that they walked back in the water. So those hands are actually left from when they were land animals. I found that fascinating because
They got onto the land and they were like, I think we'll take the great white sharks over all this.
yeah, right. They're like, we're so cute when we swim. Nobody thinks we're cute just wallowing around here. Yeah, but they're cute. I don't know.
All right, Miss Amy, do you have anything else for tonight?
I don't. Do you?
I think I'm okay for tonight. We'll come back again. I think we said we'd try to do a couple of shows each week. That's about as much as our schedules will allow.
Yeah.
So we will try to find another time, and we'll be back. Thank you for coming and joining us and subscribing. And we're very happy with our few friends that have come and found us. So thank you.
Thank you. All the good stuff that Ping said. We are gonna dive into things and have more, visuals and things like this. We've got to, with all new channels, you just gotta kind of find your groove. And I will say, for me, like, I'm always going to take true crime seriously, but I think Ping and I I don't think, because we've talked about this. I know that Ping and I want to have a little fun, and some people may call it true crime light, but I don't really think that's what it's going to be. I'm just going to say, like, we're going to talk about some really interesting things. We're going to have the good discussions, but it doesn't have to all be doom and gloom. We can still be ourselves. We can still celebrate that we're on this earth and have a little fun while we do it. So, on that note, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ping. I'm excited. Thank you for doing this with me.
No worries. Let's get to it, and let's get another episode soon.
All right. I'm thinking maybe Tuesday. I know we talked about a couple, but we'll figure it out. So I'm gonna hit the end broadcast button. Isn't that a way to end the show? Like, hey guys, I'm about to pull the cord. I'm like, there's no DNR up in here. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Ping.
Adios.